New York is globally known for one city. But that city occupies only a tiny fraction of the state. Over 90% of New York's land is rural. Forests, farms, and mountains dominate the map.
This state contains one of the largest protected wilderness areas east of the Mississippi River.
The world imagines skyscrapers. Reality includes silence, open roads, and isolation. Nearly half the population lives in a single metro area. The rest of the state remains sparsely inhabited. And because New York hides this massive wilderness, even stranger facts about the state go completely unnoticed.
New York doesn't just touch the ocean. It borders inland waters that behave like seas. These lakes are so vast, their far shores often disappear from view. Lake Ontario holds enough water to flood entire countries if released.
Massive cargo ships cross these waters daily, just like on open ocean routes.
These inland seas create their own weather, including snowstorms strong enough to paralyze cities.
And because New York commands these hidden seas, its geography shaped power, trade, and survival in unexpected ways.
New York's mountains look modest, but their age tells a different story.
These mountains are over 1 billion years old, older than dinosaurs, older than the Atlantic Ocean.
When these rocks formed, Earth's continents hadn't fully separated yet.
The stone here comes from Earth's earliest crust, compressed and reshaped over unimaginable time.
These peaks don't rise high, but they carry the weight of deep geological history. And because New York rests on ancient ground, its land has influenced everything that came after.
New York City feels inevitable, but it was never meant to be the state's capital.
In 1777, Kingston briefly served as New York's capital during the chaos of the American Revolution.
Leaders wanted distance from the coast and protection from foreign attack.
Albany offered safety, central access, and control over vital river trade routes.
Power quietly moved north, away from crowds, ports, and influence.
And because the capital stayed inland, New York's political and economic worlds split apart.
Beneath New York City is solid stone. Stone that once belonged to another world.
Manhattan rests on some of the hardest bedrock on Earth, strong enough to hold extreme vertical weight.
This land was once fused to Africa and Europe, long before oceans divided the planet.
The rocks here are among the oldest exposed stone anywhere in North America.
Despite their age, these mountains are still rising today, slowly pushed upward from deep within the earth. And because this ancient landscape sits inside New York, the state's geography is far stranger than most people ever realize.
New York City looks permanent, but the ground beneath it is slowly sinking. Over 1 million buildings sit on the island. Their combined weight presses the land downward. The bedrock is strong, but even solid rock responds to extreme pressure.
The sinking is measured in millimeters per year, but combined with rising seas, the risk increases.
And because New York keeps growing heavier, the future of the city depends on forces you can't see.
During the Cold War, New York wasn't just a target. It was also an active part of America's nuclear defense.
Missile sites were quietly built across the state, hidden far from public view.
These sites were designed to launch nuclear weapons within minutes of an attack. At the height of the Cold War, New York stood on the front line of global annihilation. Their purpose was simple: intercept enemy bombers before they reached major cities.
And because these weapons were never used, most people never learn how close the danger once was. New York City doesn't end at street level. A second city exists beneath your feet.
Below the streets is a maze of tunnels, utilities, and forgotten passageways.
Some tunnels were never finished. Others were built, then erased from maps.
Steam lines, power cables, and transit systems are layered like an underground skyscraper.
That steam isn't decoration. It's part of one of the world's largest steam networks.
And because this hidden city keeps growing, New York expands in directions most people never see.
New York looks unified on a map, but it nearly became two separate states.
New York City and upstate live very different realities. That divide has fueled conflict for over a century.
Multiple proposals were introduced to legally separate the regions.
Supporters argued the state was ungovernable as one. Opponents warned of economic chaos.
And because the split never happened, New York remains one of America's most devilled states.
New York appears to be an ocean state, but most of its shoreline touches freshwater, not salt.
The Great Lakes alone give New York hundreds of miles of freshwater coastline.
These lakes were carved by glaciers, leaving behind natural freshwater corridors. When measured, freshwater edges outnumber the ocean by a wide margin.
This makes New York a critical freshwater state, not just a coastal one.
And because water shaped this state first, New York's geography hides more than it reveals.
Millions drink water controlled by New York, and most never realize where it comes from.
These mountains naturally filter water long before it reaches any treatment plant. New York operates one of the largest unfiltered water systems on Earth. Gravity alone moves this water over hundreds of miles.
And because this system must stay protected, entire regions exist only to keep it clean. Some New York towns no longer exist, not abandoned, completely erased. Entire communities were destroyed to create reservoirs and dams.
Streets, homes, and cemeteries still sit beneath the surface.
Families were forced to leave, often with little warning.
Today, the water looks peaceful, but it hides lost histories.
And because these towns vanished without ruins, most people never know they were ever there.
New York was not always green. It was once buried beneath a wall of ice. The ice here was nearly a mile thick, heavier than entire mountain ranges. This ice reshaped the land, carving lakes, valleys, and coastlines. These scars remain today, etched directly into stone.
Nearly every major waterway in New York exists because of glacial movement.
And because the ice retreated, the strange geography we see today was born.
New York doesn't just dominate land and water. It controls the sky above millions.
More aircraft pass over this region than almost anywhere else on Earth.
Controllers here manage extreme precision, guiding thousands of flights every day.
Planes are separated vertically, not just horizontally.
A single mistake could ripple across international air travel. And because this airspace never sleeps, New York's control extends far beyond its borders. New York looks small on a map, but its geology tells a much bigger story.
Few states contain this many landforms within such a compact area. Water, ice, and time shape this land layer by layer. These formations record over 1 billion years of Earth's history.
This diversity explains why New York became economically and strategically powerful.